Good morning. This is Sunny Sleeps, and we are sleeping in a game called Soul Void. This is part 9, and I'm just speed running through this, trying to get to certain parts that I would like to have had explored previously, and just talking about the general message of this game. A lot of it has to do with bodily horror, from like eyes to teeth and mouths to um, hearts and gore, and I'm not necessarily sure if that's because it's trying to remark on anything about just like hating your body or anything, like poor body image, or if it's more like just to add to a creepiness factor. Because obviously we can theorize as much as we want on the whole thing, but I feel as though like the game really does do a good job of portraying like artist block and like self-worth, of feeling that you're not good enough, and like the for lack of a better term, general concept of like self-deprecation and disdain for oneself. It's very well put together, and I know that the developer said that there might be bugs in it to where like characters kind of shifted around on accident and stuff. But I mean, I think that it's really good. I love this game overall. Like all the pixel art just brings me so much joy in this game. Oh, my friends. Sometimes I feel like the only friends I have are the ones I made up in my head, but I want real friends too. I'm just scared of what they'll think of me. Oh, WIP. My hand shakes as I write this, but I must document this post haste. A lost soul calling itself the Gram appeared to me in the depths of the void. It was awful, a giant thing of grinning teeth, coupled with empty, white eyes. It says it's been watching me with interest, and it laughs at my attempts to help the lost. It says it will relish my eventual failure and my subsequent descent into madness. It taunts. Its taunts hold no sway over me. If anything, I am more headstrong in my quest. Note: I went to go inform the mayor, but the guards stopped me from entering town. They said that they'll pass on the message, but I am not allowed back in. I think they fear my time out here is hastening my change. I have my suspicions that they're not letting any of the lost back into town. Interesting. Also, interesting to see that he doesn't have some of his arm. Obviously, like, I think it. I think it's to avoid getting to his corporeal form. I like how there's a little bit of chalk everywhere. Um, but yeah, now I think about the Grim seems to, if I may stop here because I believe I found everything that I didn't get to, but at least that like I can at the forefront of my mind really like access. But I feel as though the Grim obviously represents like the heart of people's mental illness, right? Like this sentiment of loneliness, the thing that screams at the back of your mind that you're not good enough, that it wants you to feel horrid and lonely. And I think like I love the self-image imagery, if you will, focused a lot on like bodily horror, on um on obviously having no face, tearing off one's head, etc., etc., and like all these characters that were misshapen and had lost themselves. And like, I don't know if it's necessarily like death and passing on, is more of like, you know, it being like, oh, they didn't know what made them die, and like now they're here, and like my character apparently like didn't know why she was here, and like apparently the seeker, once touching, I was like, whoa, hey, that's weird. Obviously, like the first person to be alive came here and like was trapped down. And maybe it's just like to kind of not necessarily show, but to really depict how like whatever a silly Grim Reaper is, like that the thing that would be so potent as to keep you from passing on, as like keeping you from moving on to heaven and whatnot, is also your mental illness. Speaks a lot to this general. Sorry, I like lost my train of thought. But like it speaks a lot to just this general idea of how much depression can affect someone. It really does tear down your self-worth and your self-esteem from the inside, from this chemical imbalance you have makes it to where like your brain is firing terribly on you. And while it didn't really talk about the brain much, obviously, very much had like a thing on eyes and things watching you, especially with the recording thing. That very much felt like a calling about OCD. And then like especially like with more mental illness stuff with the bugs crawling all over those characters at one point. And like, just like, I hate it here, I don't want to be here, all this very much big anguish stuff. I feel as though the creators of this game did an amazing job of like showing what both inner anguish and inner peace, especially with this character in this area, as to how that can look for a lot of people, whether that's in passing of death or while you're still alive, facing depression. Like, all of these apparently dead or lost souls were so surprised about this living person being here, and it's like, you know, that's how some people get. Some people get to like that catatonic state of like they can't move. They're basically on the brink of like emotional death, and the idea that like the Grim Reaper taking your soul because it's like feasting on your like depression because you're weak, right? Like, these people aren't weak. These people are strong and trying to do their best. Anyway, this has been Sunny Sleeps and my last installment of Soul Void, and I am finally going to sleep now. Thank you for watching.